Hey friends! I just recently completed my first, and actually at this point my second, art slash maker pop-up market. And I have 10 tips that I want to share with you. Anyone who's like thinking about getting into pop-up markets or doing art fairs, things like that, and might not know where to start or wondering like, hey, like what are the main things that I should worry about? I'm actually starting with my number one tip. Hopefully this is helpful to you, and if you enjoy this video, give the video a like, give it a comment, subscribe to my channel, you know, stick around for whatever is coming next. Without further ado, let me get into number one. Number one, don't over prepare. So this advice came from my couple art friends who I was talking to before I did my art show, and they were so right about this. Even though I didn't quite listen, and I had already gone and like bought a bunch of stuff before I even got this advice from them, but don't just like go out spending all of your money on like the perfect setup or like what you think you definitely want. Like you're probably gonna have to spend some money on like some setup materials, or like you can probably also maybe borrow some of these items from friends or family. As much as you can spend time like on Pinterest, on YouTube, watching videos like these, planning out like the perfect setup or what you think is the perfect setup, try not to spend all your money and like get like basically married to this one idea that you have. Give yourself some wiggle room and just go to your first show. Make sure you go to your first show and get through it and pay attention to what other people are doing. You might get a lot of ideas for like what else you could do, what works for you in particular, what you don't want to do even. So just try not to like break the bank buying all of these materials that you might later not want. One example of something that I bought that people liked, like other artists were like, oh, that's a good idea, but honestly like didn't work so well, are these. I got these at IKEA. They are little, I guess, plate stands. Like normally you would line your plates up in here. I would never use this in my own kitchen, but it seemed like a really great way to display cards. And it was like on a tight deadline and a budget. Like I think these were around $5 each, and they're made of bamboo, so sustainable material. Biodegradable, all that good stuff. The problem that I have with this is, you know what, actually I think I'm gonna get into this in a later point. I am, so just kidding. I'll come back to why I didn't like this later. JK. Number two, test your payment systems. So whatever payment system you're using, make sure you're testing your payment systems before it's go time, before it's showtime and go time. So whatever payment system you use, just make sure you like have it, whatever app it is, downloaded on your phone or your tablet or whatever it is you're using to take payment. Make sure you have your login or that you are already logged in. Probably both would be good. Make sure, you know, your phone is charged, your tablet's charged, whatever you're using is charged. Do a test sale, you know, sell yourself a sticker or something. Make sure that that transaction goes through, make sure everything works out, make sure you know how to use it without like fumbling over it too much. I ended up using Venmo and Square Up. So like I had like a Square reader. I also took some cash. Most people were paying with Venmo, credit cards. Most people were also like so kindly just like asking if there was some way to pay that was best for me or that like had a lower fee. So that was really cool. I made sure that my prices were like easy numbers to pay with cash, like $5, $10, $20, things that actually come, at least, you know, with US dollars that like come in those bills, so that I wouldn't have to like, if it was like $12, I wouldn't have to be making change all the time. Something that I didn't do that I wish I had and I do want to do in the future is have like QR codes for your payment systems printed out and on display on your table. This is this is the display. So for example, like if you have Venmo, you can print out a QR code that will take people directly, if they scan it with like their phone's camera, will take them directly to your Venmo to pay you. I didn't do this because my printer the ink is very, very dry, and whatever, I haven't replaced it yet. It's just like really helpful to print that out. You can put it in like an empty picture frame that you can just like stand on your little display table. You can have like You know, those like clear acrylic stand things that like lots of retail businesses have. We can slide a piece of paper in and it's clear, and you can scan through that clear plastic. You know what I'm talking about. Or maybe you don't. But anyway, like have some way to display it. You could even just have it on a piece of paper that like maybe you tape down to the table. Anyway, get your QR codes lined up. Number 3, bring food, drink, and what you need. For the food, make it something that's really easy to, not like soup, for example. I feel like it's very splashy. If you're really good at eating soup, go for it. My point is like something like, I don't know, a granola bar, maybe an apple, things like that. And because like the moment you put food in your mouth, someone's gonna walk by your table and start talking to you. Guaranteed. So if things are slow and you're not making a lot of sales, put some food in your mouth. I don't know, some nuts, loose nuts. Have them in a bag, I don't know. I'm talking about this too much. Obviously, I am a food motivated individual. Bring some water, quench that thirst, to wet your throat so that you can keep conversing with individuals and not have a coughing fit at an inopportune moment. Bring other things that you might need, like a chair. You might be standing for 5 to 6 hours. Even though I just said to bring a chair, I just want to note, like, it could be a good idea to stand as much as possible, even though you have a chair. People tend to engage with you more, stop at your stand more, buy things more, at least in my experience. If you're standing and you're like meeting them eye to eye, and it's kind of like retail, like, it is retail, really, where like you don't just like sit behind the counter and like be like, hi, what you want, or like ignore your customer. I mean, sometimes you do, and maybe that is what you do, but usually people are more, like customers are more happy to approach, feel more comfortable, feel more welcomed if you're standing there, you know, ready to greet them and ready to talk if they have any questions. At the same time, like maybe give them space if they're like, read the room. If they're like, oh hi, and then they like look through your cards or look through whatever goods you have, like maybe they're the type of person who wants to look through things on their own. And you don't need to stare them down while they're doing that. Nobody wants to be followed in a store, you know what I mean? But just make yourself available if they have questions, if they want to ask like what your process is, how you created something, how much it is, if you do commissions or custom work for people. Just like consider standing is what I'm trying to say, and making yourself like available and open to conversation. I just realized that like a lot of that, the whole standing thing, was actually my next point, which was stay engaged. Whatever, I already said it, so you heard that. I was basically talking about staying engaged with your customer. On that note, I feel bad saying this. Why do I feel bad saying this? But like, definitely like invite your friends and all that. I have found that like when my friends or my boyfriend are there, I'm engaging with them a lot, which means that I'm probably not engaging with like new people. And it can be kind of, you know, like when two people are like talking a lot and you're like the odd person out, sometimes it can be hard to like insert yourself. Even if you like want to buy something, it can be hard to be like, okay, how do I insert myself in this conversation? Like, how do I interrupt? So as much as it's fun to chat with your friends and chat with like your family and chat with people who you're close to, it can also kind of like get in the way. I feel bad saying that because like I really love it when my friends show up, and it's like, so it means a lot, and like having them there support me, and honestly they usually buy stuff for me too. I'm just saying, like, be aware of like how much you're just like directing all of your attention to your friends or family or partner, whoever might be there, because you might be ignoring new customers. Number 5, make a list and stay organized. So like maybe this is more for people who operate in the same way I do, but I don't know. I find it helpful because I like making lists. Who doesn't like making lists, and who doesn't like crossing things off of them or checking boxes? I would suggest making a list for this show. List everything that you need and gather it ahead of time. So when the day comes and you're packing up your car, you have it all kind of at least remotely in one place. You're not like running around frantically trying to get things in order like at the last minute. Make a list of emergency items, like come up with your own list even. I brought like a towel in case I accidentally spilled my water everywhere and needed to clean it up. I brought tape, I brought scissors in case I needed them, paper, pen. You know, your list might be different from mine, but just like think of like what your emergency kit might be like. Is it like zip ties? What might you need if something like goes wrong? And then go through your list when you're packing up just to make sure that you put everything in the car that you need. You don't want to like get there and then be like, oh my gosh, I have no way to take payments. That would be disastrous. Get organized, make a list, follow that list, pack everything on that list, check it off, do whatever you need to do to make sure everything is in that car and getting to the location. I'd also say to keep things lightweight and compact as much as possible, because like sometimes you might be able to drive right up to your location and unpack in a leisurely manner, but like sometimes, say it's a convention center, you might have to like park and then carry everything to the location where you're actually going to set up. I've seen these little wheeled wagons, like little folding cloth wagons that you can like expand and like put all your stuff in this wagon and wheel it behind you. I've heard some people really love that for conventions, because then you can just pop in everything that you need and wheel it to your location and set up. I don't have one of those. They're kind of pricey, at least for me. They're like 70 bucks from what I've seen. So maybe that's like a future product for me. What I did was I found a big old duffel bag that had wheels, and I packed all of my stuff in like these little crates. So I had things packed in here, like cards, prints. I have some cardboard boxes, like smaller, about this size, cardboard boxes that I packed things in. I decided on my price list ahead of time and wrote it in my little notebook so that I would know what to price things, or how I was going to price things when I got there. So basically taking a lot of the thinking out of it. And then I also used like a big old laundry basket that had handles that I could carry things in, because I don't have a wagon, okay? Make it as easy as possible for yourself ahead of time. Number 6, let people find you. I keep talking about my points before I even get to them, but what I meant by this is like make yourself available for people like after the day of the show. I don't mean like overly available. As someone who is definitely an introvert and likes their time alone, I don't want to be available at all times to all people. Not at all. What I mean is like there are going to be a lot of people who love your work and just like aren't in a place where they can buy something that day. Maybe they didn't bring any sort of money or any payment systems, or maybe they just don't want to pay that day. They could be a customer years from that day. Like they could just follow along for years and then like someday commission something from you. Who knows? Make it so that if someone wants to find you later, they can. You can provide your Instagram account. You can, and we talked about QR codes, so that's a good way to do that. Have some business cards out if you have business cards available that have your Instagram, your, I don't know, your website, however you want people to find you, maybe your YouTube channel. Have those available so that people can just take them and follow you later. I definitely gained a lot of Instagram followers by having my business cards out. Don't rely on people's memories, just remember who you are. Give them some way to like either follow you at that moment or find you later. Another great thing that I hear a lot of other creators saying to do, and something that I am doing, is having an email sign up sheet. So just, it can be as simple as like a piece of paper. I have one that has like lines, so you can like put your name and your email address. I made like a template on Excel and printed it out. You don't have to be that fancy. You could even just like have a little like notebook or something that people fill out. Have people sign up for your newsletter. Even if you don't have one yet, you can always collect their emails and create a newsletter later and send out emails like about upcoming shows or sales that you're having or new pieces of artwork or whatever it is that you're making. They signed up. Definitely don't add people who haven't signed up. That's illegal. I'm not a lawyer, but it's just, it is, okay? Like you can't do that. Some people maybe do, but don't do that. Read up on it, okay? Google. Email addresses, I feel like that definitely, if people are signing up to get emails, they are actually interested. Like who signs up for emails unless you really want to get them? So yeah, do that. Oh, and this actually was a tip that I got from my art friends, which is like, don't leave that emailing list blank. Put up like your email address on the first line, or like if you're a friend who is happy to let you do this, you can put up theirs. And yeah, for some reason, nobody wants to be the first one to put their email address down. So just like have one up there when the show starts, and people are way more likely to be like, oh, also I think it might help them be like, oh, that's what this is. That's what this piece of paper is for. And people will be more willing to sign up. Tip number 7, provide a range. And by range, I mean like a range of prices, a range of items that people can buy and a range of prices. So for example, I had stickers for $4, I had cards for $5, prints for $20, and then some original drawings and paintings for anywhere from $50 and up. Some people will look at a painting and be like, I really want this original painting, but I don't have the funds for that right now, but I can totally afford the card version, so I'll pick that up. All those smaller purchases definitely add up. By the way, like the pricing is up to you and it really depends on the product. Like I just was saying like $4, $5, $20, that's just like me. Someone who does like metalworking or wood carving or like just uses materials that are a lot more expensive than paper, their price range might all be higher than mine is, but it's still good to have a range within whatever the range is that you can afford. Am I making any sense? So this is what I've been working on. These are, wow, that's shiny. Whoa, the car is reflecting. Okay, put it at an angle and cover my face. I've been making these little magnets. These are hand painted on little wood rounds that I stuck a magnet on the back of. So these are little cute refrigerator magnets. This is a little watermelon one. I just have like a few different designs. This is like little monstera leaf, avocado, which is upside down. Avocado. This is my favorite, I think. Eggs. I want to make, oh, focus please. I want to make some bacon or something to go with these. What else? I have 2 more. Little lemon slice. And one of my favorite foods, oh my gosh. One of my favorite foods as a kid, blueberries. So, I've made these little stickers. I was doing a little bit of market research, like looking on Etsy and elsewhere to see like, what do people really charge for like hand-painted, handcrafted magnets? And then from like that information, I was like being like, well, what am I comfortable with charging? So that's how I'm gonna come up with the price. I think I'm gonna offer these for like $10. I don't know. They're so small, but at the same time, like they are each individually hand painted, and it takes time. Okay, we're getting there. Number 8, tent tips. So I'm gonna share my tips about tents if your show requires a tent. Most shows that have tents are like, usually the space is about 10 by 10 feet. Tents are kind of expensive, by the way. Like if you have a friend who has one, see if you can borrow it. But yeah, if you need a tent, it's usually 10 by 10 feet. I have come across some applications where they require that the tent is white. So if you're going to go out and splurge and buy a tent, I would just get a white one just in case. Like some fairs don't care what color it is. Some fairs are like, it has to be white. So just get a white one. One thing that I regret not doing is like getting a tent that has little wall attachments. Like you can have like little canvas walls that you can put up like on just the back or 3 sides, or like set it up however you want. Mine didn't come with any walls. I feel like it would be useful. Just kind of like separate your space from other people, or if like the backdrop behind you is ugly, which like I just had like a sidewalk behind me and like a parking sign at my last show. So I was like, dang, maybe it would have been good to have walls. Or if you're crafty, which probably you are if you're watching this video, you can maybe make them. Maybe you can buy some canvas or some muslin, some cheap fabric, get a sheet, I don't know, and craft a wall of your own. At my last show, sandbags or weights, tent weights were required per city governance. Luckily, my tent did come with little bags to put weights in, to put sand in. It didn't come with the sand, so I just like went to the hardware store nearby and got sand. You might be required to have weights for your tent, and also it's just a good idea in case the wind picks up or anything like that. You don't want a disaster happening where your tent just takes off and knocks over everybody else's stuff as well as your own. That'd be bad. Just avoid disaster at all costs if you can. Number 9, distract yourself. This was another tip from a couple of my art friends who were saying like, oh, like bring a book or like a drawing pad. If you draw on a tablet, maybe something like that. Something to do if the show is slow. Bring a distraction so that you're not just sitting there like feeling bad about yourself or like stressing out about like not making back, like earning back the fee that you paid to be there. Number 10, make it easy to see. What I mean is your display. Make your products easy for people to see and easy for them to see as much of your stuff as they can at once, like just at first glance as they're passing by. Again, okay, so going back, we're finally making it back to this little plate rack thing that I use to stack cards in. Problem is, it sits horizontally and like you can really only easily see the card in the front. Everything else you might see a snippet of, or it might be entirely covered by the cards behind it. What I really need is like something tiered so that when someone looks at it from this angle, they're like seeing like first card, second card, third card. Well, at least they can see more of the designs that are behind it. So I ended up taking out some of my cards and like just laying them flat on the table, and that actually did help because like people were just walking by and I was like, nobody's even looking. Like there might be something behind the first card that they really like that they're just like not even seeing. And like some people are willing to go through and like actually sort through all the designs, but a lot of people are not. They're just going by and seeing if something catches their eye. So in the future, I would really love to have like some sort of like vertical or somewhat vertical card stand. So that goes back to my first point of not just like spending a lot of money on what you think is a really good setup until after you've done at least one show and gotten a better idea of like what works for you, what doesn't, and like what you've seen other people do that you want to do or you want to like emulate. So like, yeah, don't get too set on an idea before you even do your first show. So that is it. Those were my 10 tips for setting up for your first pop-up show, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something useful from this little conversation. Not really a conversation since I'm the only one talking, but maybe you're talking to yourself, who knows? Anyway, if you found this helpful and if you'd like to see more of my videos, feel free to subscribe to my channel, give this video a like, give me a comment in the comment section, do whatever you want to do, or if you don't want to do it, that's fine too. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Peace. Peace. Bye. Why am I awkward?